Hi guys! In this series of videos, we're going to learn about Latent Dirichlet Allocation, or LDA for short. Let's get to it. In this first part, we're going to give an introduction about LDA, what problem it tries to solve, what are the alternative methods used to solve this problem, what are the basic assumptions behind the LDA model, and we'll also run a basic Python example using the sklearn package. In the next two videos, we're going to look at two ways to implement or solve the model. One using variational inference, and another using Markov chain Monte Carlo, and also implement the code manually. LDA is mostly used for topic modeling. When you have a large collection of documents, usually referred to as a corpus, it's very hard or even impossible to go over and read all these documents yourself. And so what topic modeling algorithms like LDA allow you to do is to label them automatically, and as such filter the documents in the future according to your needs. The way it achieves that is by clustering words that tend to go together in the same document into topics. And so one can also view it as a form of dimensionality reduction, say from a dictionary that consists of tens of thousands of words into a small set of a few dozen topics. Interpreting and labeling these topics requires human judgment, or, in the age of LLMs, automated assistance. Here are some examples of cluster of words that tend to go together. Each one of these topics is a probability distribution over words, and what I've shown here are the top 4 most frequent words per topic. A cluster containing words such as carbon, emissions, and renewable might be labeled climate. Notice also that global warming is 2 words. We can incorporate this and other bigrams into the dictionary, as well as trigrams and more complex combinations. The model treats these multi-word expressions as single tokens if they are defined as such during pre-processing. Once you have these topics, you can get that a certain document is mostly about the climate, and so label it as climate. And then when you search for documents related to climate, this document will be included in the search. LDA and also other algorithms usually does the 2 steps simultaneously. It clusters words into topics and computes topic distribution for documents. And we shall see the exact details of how in a bit. There are also other uses for topic modeling. It was originally used in genetics to assign individuals to different populations. It can also be used in recommendation systems to find genres and to get a distribution of favorite genres for each user. It can be used in computer vision to find some topics in images or scenes, and it can be used in many other fields as well. I'd like to place LDA in historical context, to understand how topic modeling evolved. Before LDA, several approaches were used. The most basic method was manual processing, reading documents and assigning labels by hand. This is accurate but slow, expensive, and not scalable. Another approach relied on predefined dictionaries. You created word lists representing different topics and counted how often those words appeared in each document. This allowed automation, but it could not discover new themes. It was limited to what had already been defined in advance. Then came matrix decomposition methods such as LSA and later NMF. Here we represent the corpus as a large term document matrix and factorize it into lower dimensional matrices. The hidden dimension corresponds to latent topics. These methods perform dimensionality reduction, but they are algebraic rather than probabilistic. After that came the probabilistic approaches, first in PLSA and then in LDA. Here you create a probabilistic model and you estimate the different distributions. We will expand on the LDA approach in a minute. LDA had some extensions built on its framework. STM incorporated document-level covariates into the topic model and allowed for a richer correlation structure between topics. ETM leveraged word embeddings to introduce semantic structure while preserving a probabilistic foundation. More recently, Transformer shifted the paradigm. Instead of modeling word counts directly, we can embed documents into a rich semantic space and cluster them there. Methods such as BERT-topic and top2vec follow this strategy. Embed documents, cluster the embeddings, and extract representative words for each cluster. Now, you might ask, why learn a 25-year-old method when we have newer ones? Well, because old doesn't necessarily mean obsolete. NMF, for example, still works extremely well in many practical settings. LDA is still competitive, especially when you care about interpretability and clean probabilistic framework. And even manual approaches are making a comeback now that large language models can replace human annotations. I think the moral of the lesson is that methods don't expire, they become tools. And the more tools you understand, the stronger your modeling intuition becomes. Besides, learning LDA in particular sharpens your statistical thinking far beyond topic modeling. So it's a good tool to have. Let's specify the LDA model. As I've mentioned, it is a probabilistic model. We assume that each document D has some distribution of topics, denoted by theta, and each topic K has some distribution of words, denoted by beta. Since everything is discrete, both distributions have to be the categorical distribution. There are capital D documents in the corpus, capital K topics, and capital V words in our vocabulary. So one can also consider theta as a D by K matrix and beta as a K by V matrix. In both matrices, the elements are positive and the rows sum up to 1. We place two prior Dirichlet distributions, one on the topics per document and one for the words per topic. Dirichlet is a special distribution that outputs categorical distributions, meaning it outputs a vector of probabilities that lives in the simplex. All values are positive and they sum to 1. For example, the 3D case can be visualized using a triangle, where each point on the triangle reflects the proportion of the distribution between the probabilities. So for example, the center point is the categorical uniform distribution with equal probabilities. Dirichlet is often a good choice for a prior when you have categorical data, because if you place a Dirichlet prior on a categorical or multinomial likelihood, the posterior is also Dirichlet. That makes Dirichlet a conjugate prior for categorical distributions. Note that when we are not leveraging the elegant conjugate prior derivation, we could also use other distributions that outputs categorical vectors, like, for example, the logit normal, which also allows for richer correlation structure. But the canonical paper by Bly and Associates used Dirichlet, and that's how we got the D in LDA. Anyway, once we have these priors, we can draw for each document a distribution of topics, and for each topic a distribution of words. The model then makes a very simplistic bag of words assumptions, meaning that the order of words is not important. Words are exchangeable. You can think of exchangeability as a weaker form of independence. The claim here is that the probability of the dog ran away is the same as ran the away dog, or any other order of words. This is obviously false, but for the purpose of topic modeling, it's good enough. And it turns out that even such simplistic model still managed to give us good results. We denote by Z's the latent topic assignments of each word, and we assume that each word came from an underlying word topic. The topic is drawn from a categorical distribution according to the distribution of topics, and then the word is drawn from a categorical distribution according to the distribution of words of that specific topic, the corresponding Z. The generative algorithm can thus be summarized by the following box. Draw topic distributions for D documents. Draw word distributions for K topics. Then, for each document and for each word in the document, draw topic from topics distribution and draw a word from word topics distribution. Notice that K, the number of topics, as well as alpha and eta, which are the Dirichlet parameters, are all hyperparameters that we have to decide upon beforehand. What we specified now is the generative model. It's how, given a set of parameters, we can generate the data. But what we really care about is the inference model. How, given the data, we can fit the best parameters. And the way we're going to switch is using Bayes' formula. The capital theta here stands as a general notation for all parameters. It's not just the per document topic distribution. But before we do that, let's reiterate what we actually care about. We want to find good estimates for the betas. These are the distribution of words per topic. If we have that, we can examine the top so-and-so words in a topic and label it accordingly. We also care to find a good estimate for the theta. This will give us the distribution of topics per document. We can then say that a certain document is mostly about the climate or other topics. LDA also gives us the posterior distribution of Z, the word topics, which is basically which topics were associated with a certain word. We could use it to color the text with the most probable topic that is associated with each word, as can be seen in the example here taken from one of the LDA papers. I want to show you how this is implemented in code. So we're going to load up some necessary dependencies and define a print function that will print out the top words per topic. We'll now load up the data that comprises around 18,000 newsgroup posts on 20 topics. It's a good thing that in this dataset we do know that there should be broadly around 20 topics. We're going to clean the data a bit, remove non-alphabetical characters, and split it into train and test. This is an example of a clean document text, and we can see it talks about bikes. The next thing we're going to do is use a count vectorizer, which vectorizes the text and counts how many times each word appeared in a document. This will give us a more compact representation of the data. We can do that because of the bag of words assumption that the order doesn't really matter. We're going to ignore very common words that appeared in more than 65% of the document, and also very rare words that didn't appear in at least 5 documents. We're also going to remove any common English stop words. These are about 318 common words like the, a, I, me, etc. Finally, we're also going to restrict ourselves to the top 5,000 most frequent words. So our final capital V dimension is 5,000, which is rather small. Our training data is now a sparse matrix of around 15,000 rows and 5,000 columns, with counts of how much each word appeared in each document. We'll define the number of topics to be 20. In order to run LDA, we can use the sklearn implementation, which uses the VI approach. We give it the number of topics we expect it to find, as well as the alphas and ethas. They are all set to be equal. We specify a bunch of other implementation parameters, and then we feed our data. When we're done, we can extract the betas and print the top words per topic. We can see that the first topic is about Israel and the Jews. This topic is about space. This one seems to be about religion or Christianity. And this one, topic 12, is about motor vehicles. We can also get the per document topic distributions. And if we examine a random document, we see it seems to be about bikes. When we examine the distribution, we see that the top distribution is topic 12, which is indeed the one that we labeled motor vehicles. So I hope you get the picture of what is being done here. What are the inputs and what are the outputs to an LDA model? Now let's get back to understanding how we actually go about deriving these outputs. The probabilistic approach tries to find the posterior of the parameters given the data and the hyperparameters. We can use Bayes' formula to find the posterior is equal to the product of the likelihood times the prior normalized by the evidence. We can further decompose the expression to P of theta given alpha times P of beta given gamma times P of z given theta times P of w given beta and z. We can do this because of the way we define the generative model. For example, once we have the z's and the betas, the words only depend on them and not on the other parameters. Notice how each term here corresponds to a row in our generative algorithm. If we expand each term, we see that the first is equal to this, the second to this, and the third and the fourth to this. Remember that P of theta and P of beta are Dirichlet distributions of the following form. Also remember that both the z's and the w's are categorical distributions, and that the z's and w's are one-hot vectors, meaning only one element in these products will remain. So we can write P of z given theta like this, and we can write P of w given beta and z like this. The actual probability of each word is very simple. The probability of a certain topic times the probability of a certain word given that topic. To find the denominator, we need to integrate out all the parameters, meaning the thetas, betas, and z's. Unfortunately, the denominator is intractable, mostly due to the sum over z's, which really complicate things enormously. So there's no easy closed-form analytical solution. We can instead continue in two ways, which are the standard ways to move forward when we have intractable posteriors. Either using variational inference, which is the approach took by Bly and Associates, or using MCMC, which is the approach took by Pritchard and Associates, and by Griffiths and Stivers. The main trade-off between the two is that VI is faster but often less accurate, and MCMC is slower but often more accurate. I have courses on both of these methods on my channel if you wish to go more in depth into them, but I will explain the necessary things in the upcoming videos. Well, that's all for part 1. Join me in the next video where we'll discuss the VI approach.